Yo, yo, what's good, y'all? You already know who. Yo, GOAT, Damelocks, all that. You know what I'm saying? You know I done disappeared for a little 1, 2 second, y'all. Feel a kid. But I'm back. I ain't gonna cap. Right now, I'm about to tap an emergency trailer. It's not even a trailer, because I'm pretty sure D23, like, they dropped a trailer or something, bro. But you know how Disney or Marvel, they be hiding their panels, bro. So we just gotta see what emergency talking about, bro. Next thing you know, we watch a fake trailer. Yeah, y'all just locked in, bro. Let me see what game talking about. Like this movie coming, bro. If y'all not tapping to the Mandoverse, tap in right now. Fact.
Welcome back, everyone. It's
I told
Charlie.
my
So Dave
man's already
Filoni and
he's
Jon
not locked
Favreau came to
in.
D23 with the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. They said they've been filming for a couple weeks.
Like
They had
they
enough
got
footage
the
to put together an
The
actual
Star Wars
trailer.
Rebel
I had to
people, like
travel the
live
last couple of
action.
days,
This
so of
is
course I
hard.
got
I feel like people
super
asleep.
sick. So that's why it sounds like Grogu is force choking me while I'm doing the breakdown for his movie trailer. There are a
You
couple big
steady
surprises, couple
thick,
returning
Charlie.
characters, and I know there are a lot of
I
questions
ain't gonna
about what's
lie.
going
It's
on
the
with Ahsoka
summertime,
Season
gang.
2, what's
Ain't
happening
no
with the
reason you should
Thrawn
be
movie,
sick.
like how does this all feed
Hold on,
into
we about
that
to
stuff?
end. It's feeling
So we'll
kind of
break it all
cold,
down, just
y'all.
starting
I don't
with
know
the
where y'all
beginning of the
at, but
trailer
it's getting
footage.
kind of
So about the
cold
first
for me.
30 seconds of the trailer is just a recap of Mando and Grogu's relationship since The Mandalorian Season 1. If you remember the trailers for Mandalorian Season 2 and then the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer, it kind of played like that with a bit of a recap at the beginning of the trailers.
Okay, letting
This
us
is
know
the
what
one that
crap
you
gonna happen.
saved? You are as its father.
We see their first meeting, we get that same voiceover from the armor saying, "You are a clan of two." We get a little footage right before he actually met Bo-Katan and her night owls. They're kind of intercutting footage from season 1 and season 2, like them
Live
drinking the
action
soup
Bo-Katan
together with
queen
him
of
not taking his
queen of
helmet
sea
off.
too.
I know there are a lot of questions about that, like he went through so much trouble to bathe in the waters of Mandalore. Is he going to take his helmet off during the actual movie? My assumption there is that if he does take his helmet off in the movie, it'll be a flashback. Like in present day, he will keep his helmet on just because he went through so much trouble to put it back on. We get a little more voiceover from him saying, "This youngling is my apprentice." This is a scene from season 3 with him pointing at the Mandalore planet. More scenes from season 1 where he sort of explains who he is, what he does. "I'm a bounty hunter." He says, "Now that he's with me, I'll be more selective about the assignments that I take." Then we actually start to get the brand new Mandalorian and Grogu movie trailer footage, the assignment that he's being more selective about, which they basically teed up at the end of season 3. They imply during the trailer footage when the movie picks up, he's gone back to regular bounty hunting work like he did during The Mandalorian Season 1. Then most of the
Facts.
footage that we see
Well,
with him on a
is the movie
planet is
coming out
actually on an ice
before
planet. Now, a
the
lot of
show?
people were quoting this as Hoth,
The new
but it could
season?
be
I thought
any
the new
ice
season was
planet.
coming out first.
Not clear why he's busting into this room. There are a bunch of administrators being protected by snowtroopers. Big first for the Mandalorian series. We haven't seen snowtroopers on the series before. No sign of Grogu in this scene, but he takes them out easily. Then, real big surprise, the Razor Crest is back, and Zeb is flying it. So we saw Zeb during The Mandalorian Season 3. We knew he was
My
a character
son.
inside the universe still.
Bro,
You can't ignore me
that's
face to
a
face.
Rebels
I like your
original,
attitude.
y'all. Come on now.
Good luck.
Most
Like,
people remember him from
Bolivarian
Star
or
Wars
whatever my
Rebels. He
son
didn't
is.
appear during the Ahsoka
Why am I
series, even
thinking
though that was
about
kind of
One
like
Piece?
Ahsoka Season 5.
Right?
Currently,
He's a
he's been
lock
acting
in.
as a pilot with the New Republic, flying with
He's a
Carson Teva.
something. It's like
And
L
remember, this is
something.
inside the cockpit of the Razor Crest. So my guess is
That
that
is
Zeb
very
is
true.
dropping them off on this ice planet
They're
for
like
whatever
they be
mission that
looking
he's
like
on in
big
the rest of the
cats. I
trailer.
ain't gonna cap.
Notice that Grogu isn't in a pouch. He's just hanging on to Mando's pauldron there on his shoulder. My guess is they just rebuilt the Razor Crest at some point, or Mando rebuilt it somewhere. Maybe that's what he's been doing on Navarro in that new house of his. Like he's just been spending all that time since the end of season 3 rebuilding the Razor Crest. Then after Zeb wishes them good luck, we see the interior of this Imperial facility on the ice planet with all the snowtroopers getting ready to fight them. Mando walking down the hallway, Grogu taking one of the shafts in just because he's so tiny. Early prediction, Grogu sneaks in one of these tiny tunnels and then helps open a door for Mando to walk in. Then we actually get an Imperial mouse
Yo,
droid, and we
Grogu
actually
gonna
go
be
to its
perfect for
perspective, like the
games, bro.
perspective of the mouse
Like when
droid,
they
as
like if they
Mando
make
is
a
fighting
Mando
all
game,
these different
like
snowtroopers
the
in the
game would
hallways
go
here. It's
crazy.
actually pretty
I'm gonna be
cool
honest with y'all.
visualization. Basically, he's wrecking all of them, as you would expect. Then we get a funnier scene of Mando and Grogu breaking out of that Imperial facility on the ice planet using an AT-RT, that's like a little personal walker where they're sitting on the back here, running into a bunch of full-size AT-AT walkers. Grogu's probably having the time of his life
You
here.
know, in the
They
technical
flashed the
terms,
title card. This will probably change. This is probably just a temporary title card. And the trailer even has its own little post-credit scene with Grogu and a couple of the Anzellans from The Mandalorian Season 3 on their ship. It looks hilarious just because he's about the right size for the two of them in their tiny little ship. Notice the smile on his face like he is having the time of his life. Apparently, it's sometime after the end of Season 3, he and the Anzellans made nice, like he isn't trying to squeeze him at every left turn now. My assumption here is that Grogu is trying to help Mando, and that's why he's getting the Anzellans' help. Like, you don't see Mando anywhere near here. And a real big reminder that the movie's coming out May 2026. So, like, the big deal at the panel that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau were talking about is that this is like the grand return of Star Wars to movie theaters. They didn't really say anything about the Thrawn movie because that's meant to be like a completely separate thing. I think the whole thing is because they're trying to reinvigorate Star Wars inside movie theaters, like get asses in seats. What they'll probably do is they'll just do another Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Like, they'll just keep doing Mandalorian and Grogu movies as long as they're successful. Dave Filoni is supposed to be directing the Thrawn movie. Originally, I would have said that would have been like the second movie in this Mandalorian and Grogu trilogy. Like, they'll just turn it into its own little trilogy in this part of the timeline. But we're not supposed to see the Thrawn movie till after Ahsoka Season 2, and the Thrawn movie was when they said that everybody in this part of the timeline would cross over, like the Ahsoka characters with the Mandalorian characters, the Skeleton Crew characters. I haven't done a trailer video for that yet, but there's a Skeleton Crew trailer with Jude Law, who plays a Jedi character. It's meant to be very Spielbergian in a completely different part of the galaxy, but during this part of the timeline. So eventually it will cross over with the Mandalorian. They're also supposed to be shooting Ahsoka Season 2 later this year. There's been all kinds of reports about what they're actually doing. So remember, Ahsoka is stuck on the other planet in the other galaxy. The current report right now is that they're going to recast Baylan Skoll because Ray Stevenson passed away, R.I.P. Apparently, his arc was going to be really important for the overall story leading up to the Thrawn movie. It wasn't just a small side story they could forget about. And apparently it does involve him making it to Mortis, and the overall threat there will involve the mother somehow, Abeloth. So for those of you that were thinking that Abeloth was going to be the villain of Season 2, it sounds like that's going to be the case. This would involve Dave Filoni bringing another Legends character into main canon again, just like the Thrawn character. Dave Filoni is famous for doing stuff like that. Thrawn is just like the biggest example of that. The whole story of her character is that she was a human woman who lived on Mortis with the Mortis gods and cared for the son and daughter like their mother. That's why she was called the Mother. But unlike them, she wasn't immortal, so she started to grow old. She wanted to stay with them. So one day, trying to achieve the same immortality that they had, she drank from a place called the Font of Power and bathed in a place called the Pool of Knowledge. Those were a nexus of dark side force energy and light side force energy that also gives you knowledge of all things from the past and the future. So you basically get the entire timeline downloaded into your mind. It's a little bit like you turning into Bran from Game of Thrones. That process wound up driving her mad. She evolved into this twisted, immortal, and very powerful entity called Abeloth. She wound up being the villain of a bunch of Fate of the Jedi Legends books. Those were all the books involving Luke Skywalker's Jedi Academy, his son Ben Skywalker with Mara Jade, the Solo twins, all the original Legends main characters. So just like Dave Filoni has done with the series in the past, when he canonizes a Legends character or recanonizes a Legends character, typically he just grabs the character and doesn't do everything associated with the character. They already canonized a lot of the Mortis stuff from Clone Wars, so Abeloth is just like the Legends thing that they're throwing on top of that. It was kind of the same situation when he recanonized Thrawn. Like, first he just did Thrawn and a little bit of his Legends backstory, and then like slowly started to introduce more bits of his Legends backstory. But for the most part, all the Thrawn stuff that he did during Rebels and in present day now is brand new stuff. There's a pretty good chance that they can get Ahsoka Season 2 out by the end of 2025 because I think they want at least 2 Star Wars series next year, and/or Season 2 being the other one. There was actually a trailer for that at D23. I'll try to do a video for it if I do have time. If you couldn't tell, I'm super sick right now. I had to travel like the last couple days, so of course I'm super sick. But because the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is coming out May 2026, I think the idea is that they want Ahsoka Season 2 to happen right before that, which is why I'm not expecting Ahsoka to appear during the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Maybe some of the Ahsoka characters that are inside the main galaxy, but not Ahsoka herself. For those of you asking, I do think that Hayden Christensen is supposed to come back during Ahsoka Season 2. The way they teed him up at the end of Season 1, like, oh yeah, Force Ghost Anakin in present day, probably going to come back and talk to Ahsoka as a Force Ghost at some point. The other funny thing that Rosario Dawson said in real life when she was asked about Hayden Christensen coming back, like they've been doing a lot of Comic-Con panels together at different conventions recently, She said on her ship, she has a bunch more of those hollow discs
Good
with
with
recordings
though.
of Anakin back during the Clone
I
Wars
knew
when she
that.
was younger, giving her
I be
lessons.
forgetting
So
how
we'll
she
probably get
looked
at least
without
one more
looking
of
like
those
Ahsoka.
types of Anakin cameos during season 2. So like a couple different ways that they cameo him as a Force ghost in present day, recordings of him in the past. And I do think that he will be a bigger part of this whole plot that's going on with the Mortis gods.
Mortis
I've already
God.
talked about my theory that he's sort of replacing the role of the Mortis gods, like Anakin is becoming a god in the Force, so to speak. We got into this during my Ahsoka Season 2 episode videos, but if you didn't watch the original Clone Wars Star Wars episodes, the Mortis gods basically told him this was his eventual destiny, was to become like them.
I am dying, and you must replace me.
So basically, Dave Filoni, way back then, was calling his shot Babe Ruth style that Anakin would eventually become a god in the Force. Because they're not going to start shooting season 2 till later this year at least, I don't
What's
expect
the
to see any kind of
project?
Ahsoka season 2 teaser footage or anything like that till around the time Andor season 2 premieres next year. If there was any other
But
Easter eggs or
Andor was a
references that you
top tier
spotted in that
show though.
Mandalorian and Grogu
Not gonna
movie
lie to
trailer that I
that.
didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. There are a bunch of other D23 trailers that I have footage for. I'll try to work through all those videos as fast as possible as my voice starts to heal. Click here for that brand new
I'm
Daredevil
about
Born
to check
Again
out
trailer, and click
Skeleton
here
Crew. I'm
for
not
all
gonna
those.
lie. I'm gonna have to tap into that later, y'all. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm watching all that Star Wars. Like I'm watching all the good ones. 'Cause I feel like Acolyte. Well, I kind of watched through Acolyte. Like even though it was like people dropped off, I did watch through it. Like to the last episode. Like it was just a watch, something to get through. But like I did that. Back. But like the next couple things, they look like they putting some effort and some time into it. So we finna lock in. I just gotta see what Skeleton Crew, like if it's gonna be good, cause like I don't know nothing about it for real, other than if they going somewhere new. All right, y'all boys. The kid is gone. Y'all be safe out here, man. All that good stuff. You feel me? Facts.